What is up, everybody? Luke Film Boss here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Now, this isn't going to be a super long review because there's not a lot I want to go into without spoiling the movie, so that's why this is going to be a little bit of a shorter review, so enjoy. But there will be slight spoilers in this review. They're not going to be super detailed, so you should be fine. But if you want to go in cold turkey to the movie without knowing anything that happens, then what are you waiting for? Go see the movie. I would say, without even having to listen to the review, if you like Mission Impossible films, if you like Tom Cruise movies, if you like spy movies or action films or dramas in general, just go see the movie. It's probably one of the best you're going to see all year. And it's just a really solid time at the movies. Or just, if you want to wait for it, it's a solid movie in general. Just watch it. So it's also a movie that you don't need to watch all of the other Mission Impossible films to be able to watch and understand. Now, you might appreciate it more if you watch the other 6 films, especially for the character reasons. But as a movie as a whole, it stands on its own. Like, you don't need to watch all the other films, which is nice about it. And I think that's kind of why, or that's kind of intentional, because there's so many films in the franchise. They're trying to be able to get people to come watch this movie without having to do all the homework of watching the other films. And that's smart. But yeah, it still pays off for the diehard fans that have actually watched every other film. The writing and character work in this movie is pretty good, but it does take a little bit of a backseat to the action this time around. I think that this movie has some of, if not the best, of the Mission Impossible franchise's best action scenes. It is really well crafted action scenes, memorable action scenes. There's a really good chase scene, and it's not a dumb, boring, basic chase scene like we had 6 of in the Indiana Jones 5. This is like a really well-made movie with like actual interesting action, high-stakes action, and just, in some cases, emotionally satisfying action, especially towards the end. There's this train scene, and whew, it's so good. It's easily the best Mission Impossible action that I've ever seen. And as far as the character work, it does have some really good moments. While they're not as good as maybe Mission Impossible 3 or Mission Impossible Fallout, it's still a really solid character-driven film. While the plot might be a little basic and relies on MacGuffins and stuff to make the plot go forward, as a lot of spy films or just films in general anymore do, it still works well enough, and because it's character-focused, it pays off. It's a really fun time. We have our, classic trio. We've got Luther, Benji, and Ethan all back, and then we've got a new character. We have Grace, and I forget what the girl's name is from, she was in Rogue Nation and in Fallout, and she's back this time around. She's really good. So there's a lot of returning characters and a lot of new characters, like the villain. His name is Gabriel, and he's one of the weaker aspects of the movie, not because he's bad. He actually is a pretty good foil for Ethan Hunt as a villain. He's just a little bit, underdeveloped, I think. I think they could have done a little bit more of connecting him to Ethan's past. But I think that's also, once again, as I mentioned, kind of was the point, is that it doesn't want you to have to watch the other films in order to appreciate this one or to understand what's going on. And so everything you need to know about Gabriel is pretty much explained in this movie, but I think that makes him a little bit more shallow of a character. Hopefully he gets a little bit more time to shine, especially now that we've seen him in action in this movie. I hope the next film they're able to up the ante with Gabriel as a villain. He's definitely, I would say, probably mid-tier Mission Impossible villains, which is probably my biggest and probably only complaint about this movie, besides the fact that it might be a little bit too safe in some regards. Once again, the action and the character work, it's actually really well. And I'm not going to spoil too much, because I said I wasn't going to spoil, but the best part about this movie is that it, like with Gabriel as a villain, he takes people away from Ethan Hunt. That's his thing, because as we've learned about Ethan throughout this franchise, is that he is willing to risk the mission in order to save his friends. So what happens when he's not able to save his friends? Like, that is pretty much the biggest, most interesting dynamic that drives Ethan towards the latter half of this movie. It's really good stuff. Very, very good payoff for fans of the franchise, and it still is very interesting and emotionally impactful, even if you haven't, I would feel. It's just a well developed story from start to finish, and while definitely you are closer with these characters, you care more about them if you've watched the previous films, I think the writers did enough with the characters in the movie to make you care about them. And once again, the finale is just a whole bunch of fun, a whole bunch of suspense, and just some good action. Like with the train, it kind of almost gives you a nostalgia factor, bringing you back to the very first Mission Impossible, where there was a fight scene with the villain at the end, and it's just really good stuff. So overall, I give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 92% in quality. I think this is probably the best, if not maybe tied with Fallout, for the best Mission Impossible film. And in terms of how much I enjoyed it, I give this movie an 88% in enjoyment. It's definitely, once again, just like the villain, it's like mid-tier as far as Mission Impossible goes. It's still a great film. I still enjoyed it a whole lot, but I would still rank the first Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 3, and Mission Impossible Fallout above this film. But it's still a really good film. So overall, the film gets a 90% overall, because I just couldn't give this movie a score below a 9 out of 10. It definitely warrants it. It's an incredibly made film. It's just really well shot, really well edited, and just the character work is also very solid. And I'm very interested for the second part. So that is my thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. What did you all think? Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss. And thank you all for watching. Bye.